Hi guys, I'm Paul from Viezu Technologies and Paramount Performance, and if you've been watching our videos, this is the next one in the series of our XFR tuning videos. So we started with a very standard, slightly tired, slightly old Jaguar XFR. We did a little bit of restoration to bring her up to speed and make her a little bit more healthy, and we've been on a little bit of a journey of tuning, starting with a stage 1 simple remap, adding supercharger pulleys both upper and lower, and in our last video we particularly added quite a lot of additional cooling to try and keep those supercharger temperatures down and reduce heat soak. And we did that very on purposely because we have another cunning plan. In this video we're moving on to something really quite exciting. We're going to be fitting the Harrop TVS2300 supercharger. So this is a much larger supercharger than the TVS1900 supercharger. And just to put some figures to those numbers, what they actually mean is the standard supercharger holds 1.9 litres of air in it, and I've got a standard supercharger here. The Harrop 2300 holds, guess what, 2.3 litres of air. So more air at any one time is in the supercharger and being pumped into the engine. So before we fit this, let's just have a look at these two superchargers side by side. Now, on first examination, these two superchargers look pretty much identical, but the devil, as you can imagine, is in the details. So if you look first of all at the top of the superchargers, you will see this air intake area on the Harrop is much larger, so allowing more air to come in, and the actual surface area of the hole where air is drawn in is significantly larger versus the stock charger. The nice thing about these new Harrops, we're now ordering them in with the very smallest supercharger Harrop can do. So this is a 65mm supercharger pulley, and that of course spins up the supercharger quicker. So where else are the differences on these chargers? Well, we've talked about where the air is drawn in is larger. The actual body of the supercharger itself is larger, so that means the roller blades are larger. The supercharger is no longer, so it's the same length. So how do we get more air in? We make the supercharger body fatter, basically. So when you compare these two superchargers side by side, looking on at them aside, this is where you see the real difference. So this moulding of the supercharger, when you compare it to this mounting leg, is quite a lot retracted, as this one is much fatter. So that's the difference in these chargers. This whole body below is much larger and the blades are larger, hence we can get that more airflow running through. But it's quite subtle. When you first look at them, it's hard to spot the difference, but that is the difference. Bigger body and more air being drawn in through that larger hole. In addition, when you look in through the front of the supercharger, you'll see on the Harrop it's much more open. Now, people talk about porting and polishing superchargers. Basically, all that and more has been done. Any material that can be removed from the inside of the supercharger here that could possibly reduce airflow has already been removed. So when you look inside, you'll see the difference between the two superchargers. The Harrop is much more open, drawing more air in, and hence obviously giving much more boost pressure. In fact, over the stock supercharger, boost pressure can be increased by as much as 30%, which means there's a lot of tuning and a lot of fun to be had here. We can really crank up the power with one of these TVS superchargers fitted. One other thing I need to cover for this particular car, this is a 2009 Jaguar XF 5 litre. This car came from the factory with a vacuum assisted throttle actuator. That changed on the later cars from about 2018 to be an electronically controlled vacuum actuator, and these Harrop chargers are designed for the later electronic cars. But that gives us a problem. I've just said this is a vacuum car. Well, specifically, Viezu has developed a conversion kit that enables the Harrops to be fitted on the very first generation of 5 litre engines. So as well as fitting the supercharger today, we're going to be fitting our unique throttle actuator that will allow the later supercharger to be fitted to the earlier car. There's more on that later, and I'll go into a little bit more detail of how we do that. So I'm going to pass this over to Matt now, and we're going to bolt on this supercharger. We're going to adjust the software for the additional airflow that we are now going to be running, and we're going to see just how much more power this supercharger can deliver with the combination of the smaller pulley on the front and our larger Paramount Performance crank pulley, and all of the cooling and additional upgrades we've already done to this car. Let's just see just how much power we can get out of this now. So I think Matt understands the mission here. Matt, fit the TVS. Let's get it bolted up as quickly as you can. If we can get her on the dyno this afternoon, that would be great. I'd love to see what power she can run. So over to you, my friend. So Matt's done an amazing speedy job. It's taken him just a few hours really to get these superchargers changed over. This is under here the brand new Harrop fitted. You can hardly tell the difference from under the bonnet, of course, because the cooler that sits on the top looks absolutely standard, but the magic all happens underneath. It's running that smaller supercharger pulley, as we mentioned earlier, and of course it's combined with our much larger, lower crank pulley. So we're expecting quite big things here. One thing I did say we would touch on earlier is our vacuum powered throttle actuator. That's the only thing really when you look under the bonnet here regarding the supercharger that obviously doesn't look stock. This is the original vacuum actuator, but it is now going through a link and a coupling that is normally associated with the electronic actuator. So we've converted this car to now work with the later Harrop, and that's that clever little bit of linkage there that enables that to happen, meaning the Harrop can be fitted to all of the 5-litre cars. So that was developed in-house here. It's a clever little bit of kit, but actually surprisingly simple, but works very, very well. So car's now all up and running together. Matt's had her up and running up to temperature. Everything seems absolutely fine. No fault codes or anything like that. So it's time to strap her to the dyno. We're going to be carrying out some tuning as well. So these Harrops actually can run on the stock software, but you're wasting a whole load of that boost pressure if you're not adjusting the map. So yes, it'll give you more power, but it's the software that really brings these Harrops together. That and the combination of keeping things cool is where the power comes from. So we're going to run her up on the dyno, do some basic testing and some data logging, because of course we do full data logging here on these engines. We'll make sure everything is sweet, and then we'll start adjusting the software up to level 4, stage 4 software, and we're going to be pushing and pushing for maximum power. And I'm really looking forward to see how this goes.
So when it comes to the development of this amazing conversion on the XFR with the Harrop Supercharger upgrade and all of the supporting modifications we've made, it's far beyond a normal sort of tune that we need to produce on the vehicle. So this is now where we use something called a super map pack. This is taking factory DAMOS data and combining that with the read of the vehicle allows us to identify all of the key maps that we need for making those changes to run the Harrop, basically to run that higher power. So we start to run into additional torque limits that a normal tune and normal upgrades with the upper pulley and lower crank pulley wouldn't run into, because of course we're flowing so much more air through that supercharger with the Harrop being on there. So we're into things like the torque modelling on the ECU, things like failure limits for the torque, so making sure that the ECU can manage these higher values of torque. It's not just a case of raising torque limiters, it's all the additional condition settings in there as well. So if you just raise the torque limits in the ECU, you then run into additional fail-safes and faults that the manufacturers put in there to make sure the standard car never has any issues, of course. But when we're running this much power and torque through there, we need to make sure that everything is working together. So one of the things that's often overlooked when it comes to tuning, especially big upgrades and conversions, is things like the airflow mapping. So one of the things we'll do on these is we'll actually reduce in certain places the predicted airflow in order to manage the ECU's expectations. With a bigger supercharger, it's a little bit harder to turn, there's more parasitic loss low down, and the actual airflow under certain RPM and load conditions is a little bit lower than the standard setup that can respond a little bit quicker. So we have to make changes to accommodate for that inside of the software. So it's more than just sort of putting the old 10% on a torque limiter and adding some fuel that a lot of people think tuning is. There's a lot of modifications involved with this, and as you can see from this, we have to work with that full factory information in order to identify all of those key maps and strategies and limitations in the ECU to ensure an optimised, smooth, progressive delivery of the power whilst unlocking the vehicle's full potential.
Okay, Simon, so she's run on the dyno. We know she started at 520 at the beginning of this whole project. Yep. Where is she now?
Now we're running, wait for it, 720 horsepower.
720 horsepower, wow.
720.3 to be precise.
Very good. And the graph looks absolutely amazing, really, really strong. Where are we on the torque?
In terms of torque, we're almost sort of foot-pound to horsepower equivalent. We're running 719 foot-pounds of torque.
Okay, now I'm a Newton meters guy. Where does that put me on Newton meters?
In terms of Newton meters, that puts you, we do the old conversion on the computer, 974 Newton meters of torque.
Just under the 1,000 Newton meters, but huge torque. That's going to feel absolutely epic on the road.
Yeah.
So that pretty much takes us to the conclusion of our Jaguar XFR project, and we thoroughly enjoyed the journey, where we started with a very nice tidy car but needing a little bit of love. Certainly needed some brakes that we fitted, and then we moved on to the performance exhaust systems and the Supercharger pulley upgrades, the additional cooling that is so important for the extra power, and ultimately we've ended up with the TVS2300 Supercharger, taking this 510 brake horsepower car, very nice power, lovely to drive, to an absolute supercar killer of 720 brake horsepower. And more importantly, really, we've taken the very nice torque of around 600 Newton meters to over 1,000 Newton meters of torque. We've almost doubled the torque of this car. Can you imagine how that feels on the road? Absolutely epic. Thoroughly enjoyed the journey. I hope you've enjoyed the journey too. If this is the only video you've seen so far, they're all available on YouTube. Take a look at where this car's been with us and the journey that we've been on with it. Unfortunately though, this baby's up for sale now. We've thoroughly enjoyed the project, but it's time for her to go on to a new home because we've got more really exciting projects coming. One of which is a 1983 Jaguar XJ V12 that's not been started for 10 years. So we're really looking forward to getting stuck into other projects. Time to let this one go. Stay tuned.